All right, everybody. Hello. Today is Friday, February 19th, 2021, and this is your PTE NewsBreak. I am your host, PTE, also known as Permission to Exist, and we actually have quite a bit of breaking news this evening. But before we get into that news, not breaking news, but important news, if you will. Before we get into that, I do want to give a big hello to my February 2021 sponsors. Please do go check out Mama Trauma. Mama Trauma is a podcast that's all about healing, empowerment, and validation for daughters of narcissistic mothers. This podcast is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So do please go check out Mama Trauma and I think they do reviews on podcasts. Leave a good review. All right. And then we have another February 2021 sponsor, Rebounding from Narcissism. Rebounding from Narcissism is a YouTube channel that deals with all of the elements of narcissistic personality disorder from a male perspective and from a spiritual perspective. Rebound is also one of our moderators here. So if you see him in the chat, do please say hello. Do go check out his channel and subscribe. I have not updated my description box just yet, but those links will be there for you. And I think you can just click directly on the profile picture and it'll take you straight to the channel. And of course, you can always do a simple Google search, okay? So thank you so much to my channel sponsors. I appreciate your support and I appreciate you being with us. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started with our news stories for the evening. Well, guys, it's over. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at the fact that someone's relationship has ended. I think I chuckle because we've been hearing about the end of this relationship coming for years, literally years. And it's actually and finally happening. So it looks like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are getting divorced. Kim Kardashian has officially filed for divorce from Kanye West. A rep for Kardashian confirmed the news to TMZ on Friday, but declined to give a statement. A source in the LA court system told Variety that the divorce paperwork had been filed, reportedly ending a nearly 7-year marriage. Sources tell TMZ that Kardashian is asking for joint legal and physical custody of the couple's 4 children, daughters North, Chicago, and sons Saint and Psalm. West is reportedly comfortable with joint custody, and neither party is contesting a prenuptial agreement. The two first went public with their relationship in 2012. So that's that. I think it's very sad when children's families split up, so I do feel really bad for the kids. But I do believe between these two, they have the resources to give all of their children very decent lives. So maybe it won't hurt quite as bad, but you know, from what I understand, it always does, no matter what. But in potentially more positive news, maybe we can get a reprieve from these two for a little while, maybe at least a year, but I doubt it. I doubt it. They're interwoven. So, but it would be nice if maybe they took some time off, both of them, just go recoup, recover, come out of the limelight for just a fraction of a second. Give us a break. Give us an opportunity to miss you, really. And Kanye, once you recover from, all the emotionality that comes with the divorce, we are going to be expecting a super hot fire album out of you, okay? We'll give you some time, like 2 years. But in those 2 years, we expect you to pour your emotions into some music and bring back the Kanye that we remember, okay? So with that, let's move on to the next big piece of news this week. Rush Limbaugh, dead at age 70. He turned talk radio into a right-wing attack machine. With a following of 15 million in a divisive style of mockery, grievance, and denigrating language, he was a force in reshaping American conservatism. Rush Limbaugh, the right-wing radio personality whose slashing, divisive style of mockery and grievance reshaped American conservatism, denigrating Democrats, environmentalists, feminazis, and other liberals while presaging the rise of Donald J. Trump, died on Wednesday at his home in Palm Beach, Florida. He was 70. His wife, Catherine, announced the death at the start of Mr. Limbaugh's radio show, a decades-long destination for his flock of more than 15 million listeners. I know that I am most certainly not the Limbaugh that you turned in to listen to today, she said, before telling the audience that he had died that morning from complications of lung cancer. Mr. Limbaugh revealed a diagnosis of advanced lung cancer last February. A day later, former President Trump, awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, during the State of the Union address. Since his emergence in the 1980s as one of the first broadcasters to take charge of a national political call-in show, Mr. Limbaugh transformed the once sleepy sphere of talk radio into a relentless right-wing attack machine, his voice a regular feature of daily life, from homes to workplaces and the commute in between for millions of devoted listeners. And from what I understand, the governor of Florida is going to fly the flags at half-mast in honor of this man. I actually don't have anything positive to say. So all I'm going to say is try very hard not to live your life in such a way that people celebrate when you die. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next story. Why don't we update each other and update ourselves on the current state of the Texas winter storm? And by the way, I saw in the chat the other night that Oregon has been without power for a week. Didn't know that. So I apologize for not putting any focus on Oregon and any other state that might be experiencing massive power outages. I did not intend to ignore you. I didn't see it. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I hope your power is restored soon, and I hope you're getting the resources and things that you need to get back on your feet. By the way, before we do this little update, here, I'll scroll it so y'all can kind of see the bullets. I think on my other channel, A Deeper PTE, we're going to have a conversation about prepping. I think we need to have a nice, long conversation about prepping. I know some of you are already preppers, and I know some of you have kind of, dipped your toe into prepping, but I think we need to have a conversation about prepping. We do. So with that, let's take a look at the current state of Texas, okay? It says, the power comes back on in Texas, but the water systems are crippled. Millions of the state's residents have been urged to boil their water for safety. Biden said he planned to visit Texas next week if it was clear it would not create a burden for officials involved in emergency relief efforts. So the major points, we're not going to read through the whole article. We might look at a few pictures, but Biden is to sign a major disaster declaration as the scope of the crisis emerges. The harsh winter weather has been linked to as many as 58 deaths nationwide. 6 million vaccine doses were delayed by the bad weather. Cracked pipes, frozen wells, offline treatment plants have become a Texan water crisis. Beto O'Rourke's response to the crisis rekindles speculation about his political plans. Without heat or plumbing, elderly residents are hauling water to flush their toilets. Boston and other parts of the Northeast are bracing for more snow. And then Ted Cruz, I should have put him up here too, who fled to Mexico and then came back because he was publicly shamed, has said that he obviously made a mistake. So that's kind of the state of Texas right now. We'll just kind of scroll and look at a few pictures. Looks like some individuals went to get some water and other supplies here. Let's see if there's any other pictures. Oh yeah, this is one of the stores. Lots of the shelves are empty in Texas, empty, bare. A lot of the stores are only taking cash, and a lot of the stores are engaging in price gouging. I saw on one video last night, they're charging $18.99 for a 24 pack of Aquafina. So it's real out there. And that's why I said we're going to have a nice long chat about prepping on my other channel pretty soon. Okay. Let's see if there's any more photos, just to kind of, come here, mouse. Here we go. Let's see. That's just crazy. Okay, so these little maps here, it says maps show where frigid temperatures led to power outages, many in places unaccustomed to such severe cold. So it was all throughout here. Like it was basically the whole entire state, practically. Here's one neighborhood. I saw a video of a house that was just burning because nobody could put it out because all the water was frozen. I saw a frozen over fish tank, which makes me wonder. And again, listen, guys, y'all know I will ask any question, okay? But if the fish tank froze over, when it thaws out, will the fish still be alive? I know that's a stupid question. I know. But will somebody just tell me, please? Will somebody give me the answer to that question? Because in my mind, theoretically, it's suspended animation, right? So when it thaws out, theoretically, the fish should be okay, right? Just asking. If that's a dumb question, well, it's just a dumb question, but would somebody answer it for me, please? Let's see. I was just looking for more pictures. So yeah, so things are getting bad in Texas. And here's something else I learned yesterday that I did not know. And I wanted to share it with you guys because you may not know. But you know how when the temperatures are going to get very low and they tell us to drip our faucets and protect your pipes as best as you can because the pipes could burst, due to them freezing basically. Well, my entire to burst was the water inside basically becoming ice and kind of like swelling up a bit to where the pipes can't hold it anymore. That is not the case. What causes the pipes to burst is the pressure from the blockage. So the water indeed becomes ice in the pipe. And forgive me, I don't know the 100% technical explanation, but essentially what happens is air can't move, the water can't move. The pressure in the pipe builds from that blockage and it cracks the pipe downstream. So what happens then is when it starts to warm up a little bit, enough for the water to thaw, all that water suddenly starts releasing through those pipes and it busts in those weakest points. So in other words, it's not the ice that causes the pipes to burst, it's the pressure cracking and subsequent flooding of the water through the pipes that causes them to bust later. So that was news to me. So I thought I would just share it with you because I think, and you all know my philosophy, I think if we know the reason why more often, it will actually help. Like people will be able to think through things better, right? And I don't want to say that because it could be wrong, but I'll share it with you anyway. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll correct myself later. But I think they even said that the dripping, no, I'm sorry. I know what it was. The reason they want you to drip your faucets is because the dripping faucet contributes to the release of the water, the pressure. I don't know if it's water pressure or air pressure. Has to be air pressure. But when you drip your faucet, you're helping the pressure to release itself. It has nothing to do with the ice, really. It kind of has something to do with the ice, but not really. The ice is less of a concern than the pressure, if that makes sense. So that's why they ask you to drip your faucets. But as Texas found out, when everyone is dripping their faucets, it creates low water pressure across the whole system. Whew, we got some redesigning to do. We've got ourselves some redesigning to do. Yeah, it helps keep them from freezing too, because the water keeps moving. But if it does get cold enough, ultimately everything will freeze. However, before it gets that bad, you can prevent a really bad situation by dripping the pipes. But it's a pressure issue, not an ice issue. Who knew? But you know why we didn't know? Because they always say, protect your pipes from frigid weather, keep the pipes from freezing, So we didn't know. Like, I didn't know it was a pressure issue. I thought it was an ice issue. So anyway, that was news to me. I hope I helped someone learn something new today. In domestic terrorist news, 6 Capitol police officers suspended, another 29 investigated for alleged roles in January 6th riot. 6 Capitol Police officers have been suspended with pay, and 29 others are under investigation for their alleged roles in the riot last month. Acting Chief Yogananda Pittman has directed that any member of her department whose behavior is not in keeping with the department's rules of conduct will face appropriate discipline. Images of apparently friendly and encouraging officers were posted on social media during and shortly after the January 6th riot. 5 people lost their lives in the attack, including fellow Capitol Police officer Brian Sicknick. 2 other officers later died by self-harm. According to Rep. Tim Ryan, one of the suspended officers took a selfie with a person who was part of the mob that overtook the Capitol. Another wore a Make America Great Again hat and appeared to direct rioters around the building. 2 accused rioters informed the FBI that a Capitol Police officer told them, "It's your house now," after they busted into the Capitol. At least 7 officers and 5 other police departments have also come under investigation for their alleged role in the Capitol attack. Now, I saw this story yesterday on Twitter first, and I made the comment because the way they reported it, they said 35 Capitol Police officers under investigation. And I wrote, if I have 35 roaches in my house, I have an infestation. Now, I wanted to write, if I have 35 spiders in my house, I have an infestation. But I don't even like talking about spiders because I promise you, every time I do, I end up seeing one. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't like looking at pictures of them. Y'all know I've recently become obsessed with houseplants. I want a spider plant, but I can't bring myself to have it because then I have to always remember that you are indeed a spider plant, but you're very cute. That's an aside to say I was going to write, if I find 35 spiders in my house, I have an infestation. But I changed it to roaches because the same thing doesn't happen with roaches. It only happens with spiders. It's so weird. I wish I could make that happen with money, like visualize $100 bill and just find one on the ground, Anyway, yeah, if you got 35 of them in your house, you have an infestation. You do. 1 here, 2 there, they probably just slipped in through an open door. But when you have 35, you have an infestation. And that's concerning because it makes you wonder who is left to actually protect people like the president, the vice president, the Senate, the Congress, all of them, who's actually left to protect them when your force is being radicalized daily. Daily. So this is not good because where the old saying goes, where there's one roach, there's like thousands, because that one roach is like the scout, or the one, who came out looking for food to kind of report back. So where there's one roach, there's 1,000. So if there's 35 roaches, that might be all of y'all. That might be every single one of you. Every single one of you might be part of this. That's just my logic. That's how my logic works. Obviously, I'm not accusing anyone. I would have to assume there's at least 1 or 2 decent cops on that force because I would have to assume that's the only thing that keeps it in balance. Otherwise we would have been hearing about problems out of them a long time ago, I think. But I don't think we've ever heard of any issues from the Capitol Police, have we? I don't know. All I know is you all have an infestation and you better find a way to smoke it out. What do they do to the houses? They cover them with tents and bug bomb them until all the bugs are gone. Something similar. But I don't know how you would do that because I don't believe your psychological evaluations are screening for this yet. I don't know that y'all are screening for this. And the thing about screening for certain things is if you don't ask the right question, you will not get the right answer. So if you ask someone, how do you feel when things don't go your way? They're not going to tell you, well, I'm an extremist. I'm going to make sure things go my way no matter what. They're not going to tell you that. Most of them aren't dumb enough to say that. They're going to give a very canned, appropriate HR answer. You know what I mean? That sounds like you're a team player, that you collaborate, that you work it out, and that you find a way to fix it, when things don't go your way. Or, oh, well, I accept when things don't go my way. I recognize that they won't always. They'll give some canned answer when the truth of the matter is they're ruthless and they'll do anything to get their way. Now, how do you get somebody to give you that answer? How do you get someone to tell you, oh, there's no such thing as things not going my way? I always get my way. I'm ruthless. How do you get somebody to tell you that? How do you get somebody to confess their innermost bigotry and biases? Because my big concern is this, you guys. Here's how I look at it. It doesn't matter to me if you are deep down a rabbit hole in some strange system, I'll say, as long as you're capable of coming back to reality when necessary and dealing with everyone fairly according to the circumstance. As long as you know how to come back, I'm not so much concerned about what you do in your free time with your mind. You know what I mean? The problem is, though, they can't turn it off and on. Once it's on, it's on. And they apply it to everything because they have no ability to discern between situations. So, that's where my concern lies. And my question is, how do you fish that out of a person? Because I know they do psychological screenings on them and background checks. And sometimes I think they even do lie detector tests. But if you're not asking the right questions, you won't get the right answers. Like, you almost have to send in an interviewer who's pretending to be bigoted like you. So, for example, if I'm a male interviewer getting ready to interview a male cop candidate, I'd lean across, I'd push my papers to the side, and I'd be like, come on, man, women, right? Am I right? And if he leans in a little bit, he's like, women. There you go. You just got your answer. Or have him lean in and go, come on, man, all these illegals crossing the border. Am I right? And he leans in and goes, can't stand it, man. I'd get rid of every single one of them if I could. Now you have your answer. See, to fish out complex psychology, you have to become complex. Otherwise, they're just going to walk around and step around your little screenings. They are. Come on, man. The blacks. Am I right? I didn't want to say anything, man, but yeah, you're right. Okay? So I don't know what this is going to turn into or where we go from here. I don't know how you all are going to find healthy people, because you cannot base someone's mental health on a clean drug test. Because I know y'all think that that's what it is. I know y'all think, well, if we screen everybody for drugs, then we'll get all the bad people out of our organization. And yet and still, so many of you still end up in jail for white collar crimes from time to time. So if the drug testing did it, you should never be getting in trouble for anything criminal, really. A mistake, yes. An accident, yes. Poor oversight, sure. Bad management, sure. But you should never be getting in trouble for anything criminal if all the drug testing was working. So the drugs aren't going to be your indicator for whether or not somebody is deeply, profoundly, psychologically unwell, because a lot of people who have mental problems don't do drugs at all, believe it or not. Clean as whistles. No drugs. They might drink a little bit, but a lot of times they're clean as whistles. So those clean whistles are the ones you need to be leaning in and going, come on, man, who really needs free speech, Little things like that, little gemstones to get them to kind of warm up and tell you the truth about who they are. Okay? So with that, it says PTE, ethics exams, board exams, emotional intelligence questionnaires. I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you saying, is that what I mean? Or kind of expand a little bit for me. I'm not sure what you mean. But I'll just kind of take a guess. And what I'll say is, if they're not asking the right questions on those exams, Or if they're not putting together the right picture from the answers, they're useless. That's what I'm saying. Like if I go on a interview and you're asking me, what is my favorite color building block and why? Do you really think you're screening me for extremism? What type of bird do you identify with and why? What? Like, you see what I mean? So I'm going to give you an answer, but have you really discerned anything from my answer? No. All right. So let's move on. Okay. So this is interesting. Facebook bans the news in Australia as the fight with the government escalates. Mm-mm. What is Facebook without news? People and publishers in Australia are now finding out. Facebook has banned Australians from finding or sharing news on its service, a dramatic escalation of a fight with the government that may have wide-ranging consequences both in the country and around the world. The social networking company on Wednesday said that people and publishers in Australia will no longer be able to share or see any news from local or international outlets. The decision appears to be the most restrictive move Facebook has ever taken against content publishers. The company's action comes months after tension, excuse me, the company's action comes after months of tension with the Australian government, which has proposed legislation that would force tech platforms to pay news publishers for content. What the proposed law introduced in Australia fails to recognize is the fundamental nature of the relationship between our platform and publishers. Campbell Brown, Facebook's vice president of global news partnerships, wrote in a blog post, contrary to what some have suggested, Facebook does not steal news content. Publishers choose to share their stories on Facebook. I hope in the future we can include news for people in Australia once again. Let me see how long this is. Oh, this is kind of lengthy, guys. So I'm actually not going to finish this. Let me just see. Actually, yeah, we'll read just this part, okay? Australia fires back. The decision effectively makes good on a threat Facebook made during a hearing in Australia's Senate last month when the company suggested it could block content in the country if the bill becomes law. The news ban has already been met with confusion and criticism in the country. Fire and emergency services, domestic violence charities, state health agencies, and other organizations said they were also affected by the restrictions, prompting outrage among those who said Facebook was restricting access to vital information. In response, the company has said it will reverse pages inadvertently impacted by its move. Okay, so I will link all of this for you if you want to finish up this article, but this feels very uncomfortable to me. This feels weird. Imagine not now, on the one hand, I bet the platform would be kind of nice because you're not bombarded with all kinds of news updates and stuff every day. It really is just about your friends again, which that's how it used to be. It was just all about you and your friends and your little, networks on Facebook. Then it became this thing. But I don't like this. This makes me feel weird because I feel like the next step is exactly what I've been telling y'all. I told y'all they're going to take this away from us. Yeah, they did. It says, damn, Facebook put it on the glass in Australia. They sure did. How weird, though. Like, you're banning news. Like, that's so weird. And I think maybe that's why I feel so weird about it. It's not like they're banning, I don't know, what would be a good example? Like ads or something, which obviously they would never ban ads, but you get my point though. It's not like they're banning ads, which is something that people don't really need. Like you don't really need advertisements. It's not like they're banning like sales, no more sales on Facebook. You can't sell things on Facebook or whatever. They're banning the news, all news in Australia on Facebook. That is just so strange to me. Super true. It says, I mean, these people do know that they don't have to use Facebook, right? It's the internet. There are plenty of other platforms to use. True. But a lot of people get their news from Facebook every day. You know what I mean? So it's like social media has really become the first stop for people's news updates every day. Some people it's Facebook, for some people it's Twitter. Some people go on like Reddit, places like that, and just kind of check them every day and see what's going on. Then they might go follow up at the major news outlets. You know what I mean? But I don't know. This is strange to me. This feels weird. I don't know why, but it just feels very strange because they don't want to pay publishers for their content. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, so I don't know what's going to become of all this, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it and see if it starts to spread globally to where, there's only one news outlet, I guess, or one place to go get news. I don't know. I don't know, guys, but we're just going to move on from here, okay? So, I put 2 stories on here twice. Let's close that. Why don't we move into some tech news and then some kind of some medical updates a little bit, and then we'll get out of here, okay? Science news, that's what I was trying to say. Why don't we move into some tech news and some science news, and then we'll get out of here, all right? So, guys, we're starting to get the flying cars that I want. This is what I like to see. This is where we should be putting all of our focuses and energies. We should be putting our focus and energy on grids that are electrical grids that are borderline unable to be collapsed. Like, obviously anything can be destroyed, but you want to get it pretty close to indestructible as possible, that can withstand any weather system. We need to put all of our focus and energy into the streets here still. We do still need to redesign our traffic systems to make them more efficient. And by the way, John Quill, I saw your comment, I think it was you, where on another stream, where you said the semi-trucks need to be on rail. I could not agree with you more. I don't think we're supposed to be sharing the road with these big old things. They need their own little separate subsystem, or they need to be on rail, as you said. Because they really do clog up like the highways. Now, I'm grateful for them. Of course, they move and they ship our mail, our goods, our services, our food. They move it from one side of the country to the other. So my gratitude towards you is endless. However, just because I'm grateful for you doesn't mean that y'all are kind of a problem out here. And a lot of you drive like jerks. You know what I've noticed with the semi trucks? And I know it's because they're trying to make time. Like, I know that they get rewarded for getting their loads there on time. And I guess ahead of time that would get, probably rewarded more. I don't know. So I know that they have a deadline to meet, but understand your deadline doesn't supersede safety on the road. And a lot of these semis, what I've noticed is, number one, they don't plan ahead. So the semi will allow himself or herself to get all the way up on a bumper of a car before they change lanes. And they had plenty of time. But even if they didn't have plenty of time, they could have just slowed down. That's all they had to do, and wait until they can get over. But they don't. They wait until the very last minute, then they hop over because they don't plan ahead. That's one. Two, I've noticed that they never reduce speed. It's rare. It's rare that they reduce speed. And that's the problem. And it leads them to making a lot of dangerous decisions on the road because they don't want to slow down just a few miles to allow the cars to pass to get over. Number three, a lot of semis will just start moving on you. They'll just start moving on you. You're right there, you're in the lane, and they'll literally just start changing lanes on you and essentially force you out of the lane. In other words, if you don't move, you're going to get hit. They're bullies on the highway. So I agree with the sentiment that semi trucks need to be on rail, underground probably. Y'all need an underground tunnel system. What happened to Elon's tunnel? Wasn't Elon working on a tunnel? What happened to it? You need a semi truck tunnel system. And then the opposite of that, the flip of that, is that we won't be in your way either. You'll only be in each other's way. That's it. And then we'll have the upper deck and you'll have the lower deck. And life moves swiftly. But anyway, back to the flying cars. The future is here. The world's first flying car that travels 100 miles per hour at altitudes of 10,000 feet is cleared for takeoff by the FAA. And a full air road hybrid is set for 2022. I'm so excited. The company received a special light sport aircraft airworthiness certificate from the FAA. Excuse me. It has a 27-foot wingspan with wings that fold up to fit in a one-car garage. Pilots can now purchase flight-only models, which run on gas or airplane fuel. A full air road hybrid, excuse me, a full air road hybrid model of the two-seater is planned for 2022. Transition owners will need both a driver's license and a sport pilot certificate. Oh, Ronald, I'm sorry. I'm sure you were a very good driver. I'm sure you were a very, very good driver. But some of your peers, mm-mm. Some of your peers, mm-mm. Um, it says the dream of a flying car just got one step closer to reality after the FAA granted approval to a hybrid ground air vehicle that can soar at speeds of 100 miles per hour. The Terrafugia Transition received a special light aircraft airworthiness certificate from the agency, giving it the green light for takeoff. Oh, I hate when they do that. They put all the main points here, and then they turn around and repeat them right here. Like put things up here that aren't down here. Anyway, ultimately, drivers will be able to convert from flying to driving in less than a minute. Taking off and landing in small airports are the highway. Terrafugia hopes to have production and approvals on the two-seat hybrid complete for 2022, but those interested in taking it for a spin will need both a driver's license and a sports pilot certificate. Where can I get my sports pilot certificate? Where do I sign up? Is that it? Let's see. Okay, I think that's about it. So this is exciting. This fills me with all kinds of joy. I can't even tell you. I love that. Can you imagine police chases when the cars start flying? All the cop cars are going to have to be hybrids because you're chasing that suspect. And then next thing you know, those wings unfold and he's gone. My vision of being able to fly over slow drivers is slowly coming into fruition and reality. Can you imagine? You're just driving, stuck behind a slow driver, stuck. You notice that they don't have a flying car and you do. So then you just kind of back up a little bit. You let them go. You put about a mile's worth of distance in between you two. Then you floor it, unfold those wings, take off, up, over, and back down to the ground and keep on going. Oh my God. See, this kind of stuff fills me with joy. So this makes me very, very happy. So I actually honestly think that by the time all of us are really old, flying cars will be so normal that they'll look at our cars and our transportation systems as like primitive. They'll be like, Grandma, your car didn't fly at all. I'm like, well, define fly. They're like, Grandma, go up in the air. I'm like, oh no, our cars didn't go in the air at all. Nope. Those didn't come about until just before you were born. Wait, no, I'm grandma. So whatever. Just before your mama was born. Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so flying cars are on the way, you guys. Be on the lookout for them. I'm getting one. I'm speaking that. And I'm going to get my sports pilot's license too. So we're going to go ahead and close the news break on this. Just want to let you guys know that I will be coming on live again in about an hour and a half or so, right around 10 o'clock, to discuss the comments that the Texas mayor made and the concept of ownership and personal responsibility in the context of the comments that he made. I have a lot to say on that topic. So I will be back on later on tonight. You can check that out. But researchers may have found a miracle cure for baldness. Many people have been trying to cure a medical condition that affects millions of people worldwide, with men predominantly affected by it. Baldness can be triggered by specific drug therapies like cancer treatment, and some COVID-19 survivors had discovered that hair loss is an unusual... Lord have mercy. First, the teeth were falling out. Remember that? Remember when if you caught COVID, then your teeth were falling out? Now they got your hair falling out. And I think even your toenails, right? Or your toenails were turning black. What is up? Anyway, baldness occurs in many others without a specific trigger. By the age of 35, two-thirds of American men will experience some degree of hair loss. By the age of 50, up to 85% of men will experience significantly thinning hair. Baldness does not impact one's health, but it can extract an emotional toll on those who are impacted by it. Okay, let's get to this. The researchers use stem cells to create hair follicles that can regrow hair after it falls out. That's how hair should function. Hair loss is natural, but every strand of hair should be replaced by a new one that regrows in its place. The Riken Center for Biosystems Dynamics Research scientists published a paper in Nature Scientific Reports detailing their progress with stem cells on mammals. They took fur and whisker cells from mice and then cultured them in the lab together with other ingredients. They used 220 combinations, finding that one type of collagen paired with 5 factors, NFFSE medium, would lead to the highest rate of stem cell amplification in the shortest period of time. The Riken team explained that a successful hair regeneration treatment that could cure baldness must produce hair that recycles. That means the hair can regrow after falling out naturally. Let's see. Okay, these researchers combined bioengineered hair follicle stem cells with the NFFSE medium, as well as with the medium missing one of the ingredients. They observed the regenerated hair for 3 weeks and discovered that the NFFSE medium allowed the hair follicles to go through at least 3 cycles of normal hair production. The other medium wasn't nearly as efficient, with 79% of follicles producing only 1 hair cycle. Okay. I'm skipping down to the bottom. It says, before this baldness cure becomes commercially available, it has to pass clinical trials. So far, the Riken researchers have demonstrated stem cell therapy in preclinical lab tests. Suji said that the Institute is looking for outside collaborators to help develop clinical applications for the new hair growth technology. Now, y'all are going to have to forgive me if I'm wrong, but I swear they already had this. Isn't that what hair? No, it's not. I was thinking of the transplants where they take like a section of your hair from somewhere else that grows well and then puts it in that spot. But I still feel like they already had this, but I guess not. So, there may be a cure for baldness coming down the pipeline, you guys. And if I'm not mistaken, stem cells come from the tissues of, how can I say this? I won't. Stem cells come from a very specific set of tissues, and those tissues are quite controversial, if I'm not mistaken. And I wonder if this actually works, if suddenly there will be a reversal on how everyone feels about those tissues and where they came from. I'm sorry, guys, I can't speak freely, unfortunately. I live in a country where I'm not allowed to actually use all the words I want to. So I have to speak in code, but hopefully you all are discerning what I'm saying. So anyway, it comes from bone marrow. Well, never mind then. Forget everything I just said. I was incorrect. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, Lucretia. So I'm not going to read it, what she wrote, but it's in the chat if you want to see it. But that's exactly what I was trying to say. But if it comes from bone marrow, if stem cells come from bone marrow, then what I'm thinking is incorrect. Okay, but I'll look into that later. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up our news break for the evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that I will see you later on this evening when I discuss the comments from this Texas mayor. Woo. So right around 10. So we're looking at like an hour and 15 minutes or so. So I will see you then. I will see you there. And I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.